2, 1, blast off with some spiralicious airtime on a free-falling roller coaster. Coming up, it's V2, Vertical Velocity, a Northern California design phenomenon.
V2 opened at Six Flags Marine World in 2001. It was manufactured by Intamin and was one of their Impulse models. It was Marine World's first ever launch coaster in the park, and many people do not know this, but it was actually a clone of the V2 at Six Flags Great America. Great America's clone of the ride was marketed to be 186 feet tall, while Discovery Kingdom's was marketed to be 150 feet tall, which there was the main problem of the original version of V2. Sometime in the end of 2001 or the beginning of 2002, the city of Vallejo realized that vertical velocity was in violation of Vallejo's law that no structures can be over 150 feet. So, the original version of V2 closed in the early 2002 season. Nobody exactly really knows why Six Flags decided to build V2 in direct violation of the city of Vallejo's law, but some speculate that it was Six Flags trying to cut a corner and just clone the ride and just market it as 150 feet, and they thought the city of Vallejo wouldn't notice. So V2 closed in the early 2002 season to be repainted and remodified, and they tilted the front twisting spike into an inversion at 45 degrees. So instead of a 90-degree upward spiral, it was now a 45-degree spiral that went over the entrance. And then the backside was shaved off to be 150 feet, that spike. Although this modification to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom's V2 does cause for one of the most unique ride experiences in the world, it did come at the price of the holding brake. The holding brake held riders for a split second before sending them down the large spike drop. My theory as to why the holding brake was removed was due to maintenance. On almost all impulse coasters, the holding brakes have just stopped being used and was more of a opening a season gimmick than an actual ride element. The concept of a holding brake itself is quite the maintenance nightmare. Trying to hold that 1-ton train 150 feet in the air just would wear down that brake over time very easily, not even over time. Just after a few seasons of operations, it would start to really show its age. V2, like a large majority of Intamin coasters built in the early 2000s, suffered some really bad downtime. It would be closed for months on end with no signs of reopening, and then somehow miraculously reopening the next season. The future of V2 was once again uncertain. From anecdotes from friends and my own personal experience, I know that V2 was open maybe 50% of the time I visited, and the other 50% the trains were rarely even attached to the track, and you could see that there was maintenance being done to the launch system. So then in 2018, V2 would be permanently closed under its operating name of V2 and would be repainted, and some extreme maintenance work would be done on the launch and the trains themselves, and the ride would be totally repainted and rethemed, and new theming would be added to the queue line. Flash Vertical Velocity reopened in sometime in 2018 or 2019. I'm unsure because surprisingly Six Flags did not market this as a new attraction despite having a new theme and new paint job. A few signs describing Flash's powers were added to the queue line, even though the queue line is never used because this ride is almost always a walk-on. Despite the park being crowded, this ride will never gather a line. Flash doesn't have a particularly high capacity either because it only runs one train at a time, so the popularity is continuing to dwindle with Flash, although it seems Discovery Kingdom has no plans of closing it in the future due to their just refurbishing the entire ride, which is something rare for a Six Flags park to just totally refurbish a ride, which shows that Six Flags Discovery Kingdom is invested in Flash's future. Cough, cough. Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster. Flash was one of the final steps in a large initiative project that Six Flags Discovery Kingdom just wrapped up doing called DC Universe, which was an attempt to create a cohesive DC land inside of Discovery Kingdom, which wrapped up with the opening of Flash and Batman the Ride in 2019. I've heard many mixed reactions to the new refurbishment to Flash and the initial refurbishment to V2, and I've can see why some people would like the original version better, as it was much taller and much faster. If you enjoyed this short little history video on the history of V2/Flash at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, you should go check out my other video I did on Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster, which is very similar to this one, but although the future of that ride is a lot more grim. Links to all the footage I used in this video can be found in the description, and thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you watching the next one. And go ahead and comment in the comments whether you think V2 should have stayed the same, if you would have preferred it with that much larger spike and that 90-degree upwards twist, or the 45-degree twist and the 150 a lot shorter spike. And by the way, the original V2, you get the holding brake. So say original V2 in the comments if you like the original V2. If you like the new V2, say new V2 in the comments.